Great. So welcome everyone. I am Leyton. This is Linda. We're a dynamic team, all the L's together. And we're here to talk about our next cohort. We're just finishing up our third cohort of the Practitioner Inquiry and Place Conscious Pedagogies Masters in Education program. It's a Masters in Curriculum Studies. And we're so looking forward to sharing how it works, answering your questions, and we hope that you might come and join us on this journey.
Yep, sorry.
All right, so welcome to this session, and we're looking forward to, it's a UBC program, but as we'll talk about, we're based in the Kootenays in the summer, and we're online during the year so that folks from all over the province and the territories can come together for incredible learning. Linda, do you want to start with your line acknowledgements and then I'll do mine?
Sure, but we would like to acknowledge that we at UBC campus are gathered here together in a traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. And I have some links there, so about different acknowledgements here, and about language guidelines for Indigenous people.
Thanks, Linda. I'm joining you from Silk's territory, everybody, where I am so fortunate to partner with the Penticton Indian Band in, my goodness, 10 years of work now around decolonization. And my most exciting experience this fall, among many, was working with knowledge keepers and elders in a floodplain reclamation site. Where Silk's elders and Silk scientists are working with Western scientists like myself, and kids from K to 12, from First Nation schools and public schools together, doing work to repatriate plants to the spaces where they belong, and gently exiting invasive species that somehow snuck in there thanks to settler colonialism. Oh, here we are. This is us again. Hi, I'm Leyton. I'm the Cohort Coordinator. And this is Linda. And Linda, you want to describe your role?
Sure. So my name is Linda Haftner, and I'm the Senior Program Assistant. So my role is to support cohort students from the time that they apply until they graduate. So I will assist everybody behind the scenes with all of your administrative needs. Some of the other things that I do is I schedule courses for all of the cohort students and block registrations for other students, so just register the cohort students into your required courses. And I will be talking a little bit later about the cost of this program, what documents you need in order to apply, and so on. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Linda is incredibly supportive, and it's really nice that someone registers you into your courses for you. I, on the other hand, I'm your academic supervisor. So I'm super supportive and a handful, because what I'm trying to help us all do is stretch ourselves from where we are to our next place. And so I'm with you throughout the entire program as the program coordinator. And I teach the first course in the program, the last course in the program, and usually some mystery course in the middle. But I see you every month in some way. So I think I talked a tiny bit about this on the first slide, but this program, it comes from the Department of Curriculum and Pedagogy. And so we're really looking at, I'm just going to be super explicit, everybody. We're being recorded. So I guess my honest nature is just going to get out to the world. It's really about disrupting conceptions of curriculum. We're really taking up diverse perspectives related to curriculum with a decolonizing lens. We really are looking and this program is for all educators. So that includes K to 12 educators, but it also includes folks in educational roles with other organizations like Science World, museums, Indigenous educators, folks. We have 2 nursing faculty in the current cohort from Selkirk College. And so we really look at education, not just as K to 12, we look at education as the practice of mentorship, welcoming all learners in terms of our work, and looking at pedagogical approaches. So we'll look at things like curriculum theory And we'll also look at, what's the right way to frame this? Maybe how some approaches to curriculum have been privileged and how we can disassemble some of those ways to welcome particularly Indigenous perspectives, but all kids from non-dominant backgrounds. And we also frame land as our teacher in this program. And so we recognize land as sentient, right? Land as teacher. And if you're like, that's a lot of words, Leyton, that's why I have a program. Come to the program, learn all about it. I'll also tell stories like this the entire time. There'll be humor throughout the program. Yeah, good, Linda. Just keep changing the slides or I'll just be on performing the whole time. Oh, no, sorry, go back one. So I was hinting on this in the previous slide, but we take up a diversity of perspectives, a diversity of pedagogies and conceptions of curriculum. And so throughout the program, basically you have to be ready to get a bit uncomfortable. Because if we don't consider all of the different approaches to curriculum, how can you say where you fit? So it's not so much let's take the BC curriculum off the website and teach it. It's more about what is curriculum about? How can we approach curriculum and how do the ways that we approach it really empower or make change? Maybe some approaches we'll learn actually tend to replicate and reproduce colonialism. And on the second bullet, you can see that we take up place consciousness. So former WECTEPers, WECTEP grads, you're like, yes, 2.0. Unless you could teach the first course with me, friend. We are specifically attending to the potential and the power of rural and remote communities as places of strength and potential. And we're looking at community engagement, certainly as central to what we do. Now we can switch it. Thanks, Linda.
Next one, or this is okay?
Sure, yeah, we can go to the next one. Let's see what's next. I can't wait to see. It is a part-time program. So we recognize that you are working full-time. So it really is designed for folks who are, now you don't have to work full-time, everybody. Jamie, if you want to take a day off a week, we support you. But in terms of, we recognize this is for folks who are working in their settings. So K-12 educators, post-secondary educators, community educators. It's not just for folks in the West Kootenays. We'll just change that slide for next time. It's for anybody. But the summer courses are held in the West Kootenays in Nelson. And the next mystery slide will reveal. There we go. Here is our course order. So the first course, which is held at the beginning of August, is called Practitioner Inquiry and Place Conscious Pedagogies. It's a foundational course, and the ideas that we take up in that course will be ideas that you pick up throughout the program. But we do set you up right from the beginning as, what are your questions? What are things you want to explore? What are potential areas that you can, hey, Kira, great to see you, that you can explore. So I'm just talking about the courses, Kira. The second course, which also happens in August, and I do know the dates. So the dates for the first course are August 2nd to 10th, and that's taught by me. And then the second course is taught by Lisa Lautenheiser. And so that course is called Curriculum, Issues, and Theories in Education. So that will give you a foundation in different conceptions of curriculum. And that course is from August 12th to 19th. In both cases, there is a class on the Saturday, but not the Sunday. And what we've tried to do is, because we know people are coming from away, by condensing it a little bit, it allows you to come, but also get back to your communities in lots of time before school starts. The third course happens online. So the design of this program is in person in the summer, online during the year. And so Joaquin Munoz is teaching Exploring Historical and Cultural Sites for Learning from an Indigenous Perspective. That will be rocking, everybody. Anybody interested in Ferrer's Reading the World idea? Joaquin will just get us thinking in really deep ways. So that happens in September to December. Courses typically are 6 Saturdays. That makes sense, everybody? And when possible, we try not to have 2 Saturdays in a row, just so you can have that space to breathe. And classes during the year are about are roughly, I can't say it'll be the same every term, but the course I'm teaching this term that just ended on Saturday, we went 8:30 in the morning to 1 p.m. PST, because I realized that we'll have 2 time zones in the cohort. Then in January, the course is Theorizing Pedagogy. That will help you begin to create an inquiry way early days. But it's where you start to say, where do I fit? What stands out for me? Where do I want to ground myself in my practice, in my inquiry, in my research, and my teaching? Then we have a research methodology course, which will help you start to design your inquiry. And then we'll move into a review of research in curriculum pedagogy. So then you get to read in the area you're passionate about. Liliana, if you are looking at community partnership, then you get to go deep in community partnership. And Kira, if you're like, I've decided to do math with social justice, you're going there. But really that May 2023 course, it's May and June, is a chance for you to do. Sandra, I can't wait to see where you're going to commit to. But it's really a chance to make a commitment to an area that you want to inquire into and to learn more about that area. You'll still be guided through different aspects of thinking about pedagogy, but there's a big piece there, which is the major task for that is kind of like, in an area, what's the deal? What's going on? And where do I want to contribute, or what do I want to explore in that area? That's in the summer. So that course will happen in July over 2 weeks. And then your proposals, I know it sounds really fancy, but your research proposals will be due to me that summer. So August 2023, you submit to me your research proposal. So can you see that kind of every course is leading up to that proposal though? It's kind of like we're building the proposal course by course. As I like to say, no educator left behind, right? We're going to do it together and support you. Then in September 2023, I just finished teaching this course, Curriculum Change, Planning and Implementation. We have a fairly significant lens there in culturally sustaining pedagogy. It's been really incredible. I can't believe this is being recorded. My goodness, people. You got to experience me in person to those being recorded, seeing me on recording right now. Okay, people. So we take up lenses including place and land. We take leadership. We take culturally sustaining pedagogy. We take inclusive education. So there's a number of lenses that we look at in that curriculum change course. Also during the fall, you will be going through something called ethics with your research proposal. It takes a little while, and many of you will start your research projects at some point that fall. That's also online. Then we do living inquiry and learning communities, a gorgeous course in January 2024, where you really are doing some really lovely work, taking up different lenses related to both your research, but just also your own living inquiry. And so you're carrying out your inquiry in January 2024. Bonjour, Marie-Pierre. And then from that point on, then May 2024, you're back with me. Oh, friends. And so in May 2024, we're taking up, we're basically like working on analyzing your data. So I'm helping you pull together your research and say, what am I learning from this research I carried out? And then in July 2024, we come together for a 5-day happening in the Kootenays, back in Nelson, where folks are sharing what they've learned. It's like a little mini conference. So that was a speed version through the courses in this program. You can see it says elective in 2 places. So you can sub out those courses for something else, but we just want you to know that we have built-in courses so that you could take each one of those that would support you in the journey. If you wanted to sub out an elective, here are some recommended electives that you could choose. But again, that wouldn't be in person in Nelson. That would be something on the main campus, or if you could find something online. But we just want to make that supportive. Or Sandra, if you're happening to transfer in a course, that's what you would sub in for, is one of those electives. Not just Sandra. I just know that Sandra's taking another course right now, everybody. Linda, I wonder if we just want to pause for a moment if there are any questions about that part. You want to go back one more? Any questions now, or do you want to save them for the end, folks? Questions welcomed.
I have a question. When you mentioned, I was just a little bit confused about when you said Saturdays and courses. So explain that to me, like.
Yeah. So in the summer,
Yeah.
the courses are face-to-face and live, right? So
Yeah.
for instance, for that very first course, it's August 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, morning and afternoon. And so we're learning together, we're reading together. But during the school year, so where it says online on the screen right now,
Yeah.
those online.
Oh, you're cutting out. I lost you. I don't know if everyone else did.
Oh, yeah, I cannot hear you, Leyton. So basically what he's saying that some of the courses that they are, the ones that they are showing here in person, those are in Nelson,
Yeah.
and that's just the summer courses. All of the other courses, they are online, and this is by synchronous. So you will be still meeting, I guess, on a certain days through Zoom or something like that. The whole group, the whole cohort
Okay.
students.
Is
So-
there also a part like, when it says online, is it just meeting as a group on a Saturday, or is there also like things that you do during the week
You should,
at your own pace?
right. So typically you do it at your own pace. However, Leyton, he usually selects certain days, that you will be meeting, online, right? So
Okay.
if the whole group wants to, have a chat or something like that, otherwise you can always contact Leyton,
Yeah.
for more information about the courses. But all of the other ones, you do it basically, yes, he selects just like 5 Saturdays, for instance, that, the group meets, I'm just giving an example.
Yeah.
And we will provide you with those dates ahead of time, and he's really good to communicate with everybody.
Sure.
So,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
That
thanks,
answers my
Linda.
question.
I will mention just briefly, it's highly interactive. So on those Saturdays that are online, it's not like read a bunch of stuff and write a post. It's come to class and interact. Like read something, let's discuss it, let's engage with it, let's go into small groups. So we're quite different than other online programs, which is like have a good time and have your own journey. It's much more communal, collaborative. In the Kootenays, we like to call it a happening. So come online, have a happening. It might be a tough reading, but we'll support each other in making sense with it.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so there's a little bit of like, do your own thing during the week, and then like, oh, we're gonna meet on Saturday for, 8:30 to 1 or whatever you said, a few of those Saturdays, and it's interactive and in person.
Yeah, we're discussing things and looking at ideas, and yeah. Thanks, everybody. I'll pass back to Linda, and she'll talk more about the nitty-gritty parts. I'll be here the whole time.
Thank you. All right, my role is important, but not as important as Leyton's. He's really, really super nice, and it's so, easy for you to communicate with him. So all of the, if you have any questions regarding that they are like course related questions, you can always contact Leyton, because he, as your cohort advisor, he will be advising you which courses, like for the electives, they have to be pre-approved by Leyton, and anything to do with that administrative needs, I will be the person to help you through it. All right, so in order to be admitted at UBC as a graduate student, you need to have a B+ or a 76% of your undergraduate degree, a 76 or B+ and all of your senior level courses, which are 300 and 400 level. If you do have a Bachelor of Education on top of an undergraduate degree, then your GPA for those 300 and 400 level courses can be 68% or a B-. Some applicants, they do not meet the requirements set by graduate studies. And those applicants who have a lower than the GPA of what it is required, they can still be considered for admission with a special case rationale. So basically the department has a review committee, and they will review all of the students or all the applicants in different areas. So your GPA is not just going to be, they're not just going to be determining if you are admissible just based on your GPA, but there's many factors, which I'm going to go through those that they will be reviewing. So then they can write a special case memo on your behalf to the graduate studies to justify how you would be successful to complete this program, even though you have a little bit lower GPA than the required. So you would need to have also a 2-year teaching experience or an equivalent. Preference will be given to those with 2 years teaching experience with an equivalent of engagement with schools, local or international communities, NGOs, and other related activities, and those with demonstrated academic interest. So seats are limited, so we recommend that you apply quickly. Okay. So the documents that you need to provide when you are applying for this program, it would be all of your post-secondary transcripts for all the institutions that you haven't attended. This would include transfer credits. The only transcript that we do not require are UBC transcripts because we will be able to access those in the system. So you will need to upload all of the, when you are completing your application, the system is going to ask you to enter all of your academic history. So let's say you completed in the same institution, let's say a Bachelor of Arts, and in the same institution, you completed also a Bachelor of Education. So you would need to list both institutions separately. So you will have to enter the information from when to when you attended for each one of the degrees, and when your degree was conferred. So graduate studies, they recommend, they do not want applicants to upload grade sheets or records that they are not transcripts. So all of the documents or the transcripts that you will be uploading, it will be reflective of or copies of your official transcripts that show the degree and the date that it was conferred. So the name of the degree and the date. And then your admission, it would then, once that you are provided with an offer, it would be a conditional offer until you provide your sealed transcripts from, that it would be exactly the same transcript than the one that you have uploaded, but they have to be either sealed or if some institutions, they can provide e-transcript, that would be okay as well. You also, then another part of your online application is going to ask you to enter 3 referees that they need to provide a statement of support, including whenever possible. They should be either professors, administrators who can speak to your experience and interest in this topic, about your academic abilities and the potential for you to complete a graduate program. So this is really, really important, especially if the department needs to prepare a special case rationale, because this is something that they will need to take in consideration and to see what your referees say about you. So when you are entering your referees in the system is going to ask you if that particular referee is an academic referee or if it is a professional referee, because once that you have entered all the information about your referees. This would be including their email address, where they work, and all of that. The system, once that you have submitted your application, the system automatically would generate a form, the appropriate form, to the email address that you have provided in your application. So the referee will receive a specific form. So there is one form for professors, and there is another form for professional referees like principals, vice principals. Your referees, they will have the option to upload their own letter of reference if they prefer, rather than completing those forms that they will receive, or they can do both, whatever it works best for them. I think that the review committee prefers to see just a letter of reference rather than the form, because they can elaborate a little bit more about the things that they are listed here. Also, if you make sure that when you enter the email of your referees, if they do have a professional email address, please make sure that you enter that one rather than a webmail address, because we cannot verify, or the system cannot verify, that referees with a web mail address, they are legitimate, because anybody can just enter, somebody with a Hotmail or a Gmail account, right? So if your referees, they do not have a professional email address, if they are retired professors or so on, then they will need to mail their letter of reference to our office, to my attention. But it is best if they can submit it through an e-reference, because automatically they will be sent to the application, and you will be receiving notification once that the e-reference it is received. You will also need to upload in your own application a copy of your resume, a current resume, and a 600-word statement of intent, clearly outlining experience and interest in practitioner inquiry and place-conscious pedagogies, and how the specialization and curriculum studies support your professional goals. I guess this does not apply to, the people who have who are attending this info session. However, applicants from a university outside of Canada, which English is not the primary language of instruction, must provide a specific test that shows that they have a proficiency as part of the application. So some of the tests that would be like a TOEFL or an IELTS test, and they have to be current with, taken within 24 months or 2 years. So if any of you have international transcripts that they are issued in another language that is not English, they need to be uploaded in both the original language and the English translation from a certified English translator. If they don't have a degree certificate listed in the international transcript, we need to have a certificate showing also the degree. If this applies to you, you can contact me. So the online application is currently open, and this is the URL or the link to the online application that it is an application from Graduate Studies. So since some of the programs, they do have on campus as well as cohorts, which is like this type of program, just to make sure that you are applying to the correct program. When you have to, in the program search, please make sure that you type in KTY Y4, and this would be for July 22 intake. Even though that the courses start in August, the system can only recognize term 2 as July. So this is an internal code that we have. This is for the kidneys, and this is a fourth intake that is being offered. So it is, you know, please make sure that you do not forget to enter this letters and number in the program search. So you upload, once that you are in the online application, make sure you upload all of your required documents. And once that you pay for your online application, you will have to upload and print a part-time acknowledgement that it is part of the application, and then upload it into your application. This is so you understand that this program, it is designed as that you would be admitted as a part-time student, as it is designed so you can work and study at the same time. And for this purpose, you would not be eligible for UBC government issued student loans or bursaries. The online application, it closes on March the 1st. That's when the deadline for you to apply. So you can apply anytime now. If you do not have all of the documents that you require, you can upload them later. So it's best if you upload everything, by March 1st. So this way, the review committee can start reviewing your application. They will only review complete applications, but as I mentioned, you can upload your documents as you get them. To apply, the application fee for domestic applicants, it's $108. In international applicants, it's $168.25. So make sure that you apply to the correct program because we don't want you to reapply. The cost of this program, the total cost currently it is $15,752 and change for domestic applicants, and international tuition is $16,697.52 and change. This is payable over 7 tuition installments. Each installment, it is every 4 months. So each installment, it would be $2,258.38. And for international students, is $2,385.36. So you would be paying your tuition installments 3 times a year. Your first tuition installment will be assessed in July. So because your program starts in July. And then the second installment, it will be in January. So it's from January to April. Then after that, it would be from May to August, and then from September to December. So this is how you will be paying. So 3 times a year, and this is the tuition, current tuition. UBC deserves the right to raise the tuition, and this is reviewed annually by the UBC Board of Governors. And typically, they are raised by 3% every May of each year. So the current tuition, this is up to December. So you can expect to have a 3% higher, or maybe could be less, depending on what the Board of Governments decide. On top of your tuition, you would also be assessed student fees, and you have different fees, and they vary from term to term. So the fees that they have, the largest fee is the UPass, which it is for the transportation here in BC for Metro Vancouver. So for those applicants who reside in the Metro Vancouver area, which I don't think that it's for this cohort, because all of you reside outside the Lower Mainland, you can opt out from this fee, which it comes to $173.40 per term, or $43.35 per month for a 3-zone pass, and you will be allowed to opt out from this. And also you will be assessed medical and dental plan fee, and if you do already have a plan, you can opt out either per year or per each term. So the dental and medical, it costs $264.63. And this is another fee that you can opt out if you have the coverage. Tuition is charged per the whole program, not per credit basis. So this means that you have to, in order to complete this program, you need 30 credits. And those are the courses. Some of them, they are required courses, like the ones that Leyton showed you beforehand, and for your electives. So altogether, they need to be 30 credits. But you can take additional courses as long as you're still in the program without having to pay extra in your tuition. So because you are paying for your whole program, not per credit. And this includes elective courses as well. These courses, they have to be pre-approved by Leyton. So if you have any other courses that you really keen in taking, just make sure you check with Leyton before registering for those courses. And just make sure that one thing that it is really important is for you to pass all of your additional courses. So if you fail any of those additional courses, you will not be able to graduate. So you have the opportunity to audit a course as long as the instructor is okay with that. So this way you will just take it out of interest, but it's entirely up to you. Just talk to Leyton if you want to take other courses. So only 30 credits will be taken in consideration for this degree. And you can pay for your tuition through bank transfer, checks, money order, and credit cards. And I'm gonna just, I don't know, should we stop the recording right now or should we keep it up?
Let's see if there's any questions that other people might be interested in hearing.
So I'm gonna stop sharing the screen. So this is the information where you can reach me, and this is available in the website as well, the PDC website. So I'm gonna stop sharing, and we will take questions. Yeah.
Liliana Smithers in the house.
You've answered. I was listening intently and then reading the comments. So I think Leyton, you said, if you have a connection to rural and remote, please mention this in your statement of intent. And so we're submitting a CV, and then our letter of intent is our 600-word letter. So just put it in there, integrate that into that letter.
Yeah, just because part of the purpose of this program is to create access for folks in rural and remote communities. And so if you're outside of the Lower Mainland or outside of Victoria or outside of Kelowna, this is for you. And so it just allows the folks who are reviewing, because there's a committee of folks that review the applications. And so that just allows them to see that and make that connection. We'll still welcome people potentially from urban communities, but that's our goal.
So I'm glad I've asked, because I honestly understood that to mean something entirely different. I thought you meant if we had access while we do our inquiry to connect with remote as well as. Okay, so this is good. I'm glad
it's more like just being able to say, Alyssa can say, I teach on the Sunshine Coast. And so I purposely am here doing land-based work rather than being in the city. So this is a good program for me. Hannah can say, you know, we need to do great things in Northwest Territories. This is the program for me, right? So, you know, Sarah Monique can say, I'm in a community in the Yukon and I want to be in a cohort where we're taking up ideas that apply to my community. So we just want you to be able to say why this is a fit for you. And I think I just wanted to make it explicit that, you know, this is for folks in Port Alberni and Smithers and Sunshine Coast and Yellowknife and everywhere else. Sandra McCauley.
My burning question is about accommodation in Nelson. And what does that look like?
We are in conversation with Selkirk College, has a campus in Nelson, and they don't have programming during the summer. So we're in conversation with them that if people wanted to rent accommodation there, that they could. There's lots of like Airbnbs. I have had people camp during the summer cohort. Like it is that gorgeous and beautiful in Nelson. So you can make your own arrangements, but I don't have confirmation about Selkirk yet, but we're in conversation with them, which is lovely. And it is walkable from that space to, we are at what's called the West Kootenay Teacher Education Program site. We have a beautiful building. And we have these brand new classrooms that we're just about to unveil with an Ally McBeal like washroom situation that has like, it's unisex. And anyway, so Sandra, would probably be no more than a 25-minute walk to a beautiful place. But you don't need to stay at the Selkirk site. It's just that that's what we're working on right now.
Well, I know that like Miss Lily and I would be like, well, where are we staying and where are we eating and what do we need to bring? And, you know, Craig is thinking like, would I come there with and like hang out and mountain bike? And I don't really want to come. So
will the kids come with their basketballs? That's the real question.
They'll be working.
Teenagers.
Okay.
There's anybody who has been to Nelson knows there's incredible eating in the community, and the community itself is very diversity oriented. And so we just want to make sure that anyone from a non-dominant background knows that this is a program for you. We are very much focused on, you know, diverse perspectives, diverse experiences, and the place that we're holding the program is also very welcoming of diverse perspectives and experiences. So just want to put that out there right at the beginning.
My next questions will be the last one, sorry to butt in again, is just about workload. What would people in the past that have done this program say about workload? So yes, I just finished my first course ever since like the early 90s. And I wouldn't say it was like heavy work, but I did realize like I can only work full time and be a mom of 2 teenagers and have a life and do one course at a time, right? Like time management, like those pieces. So yeah, not like what have previous students in this program said.
Yeah. So during the school year, does that make sense, everybody? At UBC, we call that winter 1 and winter 2. So the September to December semester and the January to April semester, there will be 6. I'm gonna say 6 Saturdays. Some profs only use 5 Saturdays. That's really up to them and in conversation with me. But the days that you're together on Saturdays, they're really wonderfully intensive, right? So you've read something, you're discussing what you've read, you're exploring the ideas. We try to break the day up to have like breakout groups and trying things out and, you know, artistic representations, whatever that might be, but it's very much good teaching. But to prepare for that day, you've usually read 2 articles, and those 2 articles are, I'm going to call them meaty. You know, they've got theory in them. They're taking up a perspective, and for pretty much everybody in the program, at least one article at some point, a term, will really disrupt you. It'll really challenge what you believe. Your job is not to agree with every article. It's more like you're becoming hospitable. Like, what are the different perspectives? If you loved everything, then you're actually not grounded in terms of what you believe in. But in terms of reading, there are these kind of research-based, theory-based articles that you're working with, but you'll have me first. And so what you'll do in the first course with me is kind of like get back into the groove of reading, right? Like, oh, okay, Leyton's going to ask us to look for this. And I have to say, sorry, I'm off track now, everybody. I just taught the educational change course, and we co-taught it. The cohort and I co-taught it. And so we designed the course together as a decolonizing practice in the first class. And then members of the cohort each taught one of the classes with me. And so we planned it together, we designed it together. I actually spoke not at all for most of those days. And so, but to get to that place, we really want to engage in this practice of like, what is it like to read these theoretical articles? And how do I pull these things out? And how do I have a discussion where we're all not going to agree? And then most importantly, how do I connect this to my practice, right? This is a program for educators. And so theory is important, but it's really getting to that place where it's kind of like, so what might I do with that? How might this make sense for me? So I would say give yourself time to read a couple articles in preparation. You do have 2 weeks though, Sandra. And then depending on the prof, sometimes they'll have you write like a little response before you come. So a lot of my folks, I'm going to describe 2 very broad categories of folks in the program right now. The people who like to be really prepared. And so they read the 2 articles the previous weekend, the weekend when there's no class, because they want some time, they like to be prepared, they like to write the response. And then we have other folks who really like to read the night before the class. And so, sleep. That's a relative thing, right? For those of us who are parents. But both groups of folks, whether you like to be prepared the week beforehand or like you like to prepare like the evening and the morning of, both groups have been able to do it. You have to give yourself that time to read an article, and really a good meaty handful of an article, give yourself a good 90 minutes, right, to work with that article to say what's in here, what can I take away from it. And most courses have 2 assignments a term in my experience. So there is something usually at the end of the course, it's like a summative piece. It's some kind of a paper or a creation or something. There we go. Other wonderings? Alyssa Stapleton. Yes, I owe you an email from a year ago.
Oh, yes. I wasn't going to bring that up. This is being recorded, but since you did, yes, I was just wondering about what the dates are for the August courses, because you mentioned them briefly.
Yeah, so the first course, Alyssa, is called, the number on it is EDCP, that's my department, EDCP 585 is the first course. And that's place consciousness and practitioner inquiry. It's the theme of the cohort. And those dates are, you ready for it, people? August 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 8, 9, 10. I'll say it again. August 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. And there's our full days with a lunch in the middle. So anybody who's ever learned with me before knows I like to maximize every second of our time together with some kind of representation at the end. Not presentation, representation. So do please expect to be together. And then back to Sandra's question too, you're gonna have to read for the next day. So you need to give yourself, an hour or 90 minutes after class, right, to get ready. Lots of people stay on site to do that reading, especially if you're bringing your families. Or yourselves, Kira, right? If you're like, oh, sure, I'll read. And then you're like, nature. So whatever your style is, you could stay on campus at the WECTEP site and do your reading if you want. You could, go out. Lots of people, depending if you're there by yourself, lots of people kind of like go out for dinner, read the article together, kind of prep themselves. It's a very communal place and it's a very communal program. So it's not like, what do I know by myself? It's more like, what can I figure out together? And then you want the second one, Alyssa? The second one is EDCP 562. And my colleague, Lisa Lautzenheiser, teaches that course. And she calls it Theory Boot Camp. Woo! And so she really likes to teach this course all together so that she can really support you, because you're going to get engaged with kind of like concepts that you're not familiar with or comfortable with. And so it's nice to be there in person. And her course dates will be, we're ready for it, August 12, 13, and 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I'll say it again. 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And I know her days will end at 3:30. I can't guarantee you what my days will end at. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. It'll be clear when you come today. I won't be like, I just stay forever. People who have worked with me are like, Leyton, you better tell us. Sarah-Monica's like, Leyton. There will be a good hour lunch break though in the middle to whatever you need to do. Refresh yourselves, scan an article, go to nature, Alyssa, whatever it might be. We'll try during the first course, we will try to be in the community a bit, right? As fits with what we're doing. Marie-Pierre, madame, comment ça va?
Ça va bien, toi?
So good to see you.
Yeah, same here. I was wondering, just for I might have like, maybe I wasn't listening properly, but for the references, do we gather them and then submit them from ourselves, or are they sent directly to the universities? How does that work?
Okay.
You enter it into the application. And so what you do is you enter in the person's information and their email contact, and then it will generate a form that gets sent. So like for all the former WEC-TEPers who may be thinking about using me, which would be totally okay. Cassandra and Liliana, you can use me too, right, in a professional context. But you enter in that information and then we receive an email that we complete. And so we answer questions. I will also, can I give you one hint, everybody? Make sure you can check with that person if they can give you a strong reference. Right? Not everyone is admitted into the program. And so if someone is going to write not great things, they're not a good choice for you. And I know it seems so obvious, but I would suggest that you ask your colleague. But Hannah, I don't know, do you know Kristen and Jody? Are those your connections in YK1? Kristen McCowett? Who's your peeps?
Well, really, I just kind of heard this from Kate and Greg.
Okay,
but,
high school.
Yeah, I am, yeah.
Yeah, so Kate could write you a letter as a colleague.
Okay.
Dean could write a letter for you as your principal. Scott could write as the school district Indigenous Ed coordinator. So you can definitely have colleagues who know your work and can speak to what you do. But we do ask that you have one academic reference if you can. So someone who taught you a university course. So WEC-TEPers, that's why you can use me. Sandra and Liliana, I would not be your academic reference. I would be your professional reference, right?
I think most of the people that taught me in university are long retired.
But you can use the person who's teaching you right now.
Yes, I could. And super former, I could use Matthew or Mike, Nicole Davey, Jana Fox.
Yeah.
Liliana, I'm joking. Okay.
Leyton, did I hear you right? You said we could use you?
Yeah, because I can be your professional reference. So I could speak to in an inquiry context, in professional learning.
Awesome. Good to know. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And then there was a mention, oh, I don't want to interrupt if somebody else has a question. I think Marie was before me.
Marie, did we finish? Do you have Sybil? Okay.
So,
go ahead, Liliana.
Because I think when we were listening earlier, you had mentioned, let's see, that you'd prefer kind of like an open reference as opposed to just our reference answering questions, or like kind of that standard form. So once we share the email address and then they are contacted by UBC, is it stated there that you can use this format or the format we prefer?
It's better. It's actually better to do the other. Just answer the questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just answer the question. You can write a letter, but
Okay.
I got to tell you, as somebody who does a lot of these, it's actually really nice to be like, yes, they love to inquire. I've seen them inquire. It's just helpful for them to answer the questions that are there.
Gotcha. So you'd prefer them just to answer the standard form?
Yeah, it takes maybe 20. I do a lot of them. It maybe takes half an hour to fill out, but at least you're filling it out. Unless you're filling it out for Kira, and then it's like at least 45 minutes. And then there was the time.
Thank you.
Hear that headstands presentation, sister? It still is in my heart.
Leyton, there was a question. I'm not sure if it was if you answered it by from Sandra. How many students in the program typically?
We have admitted up to 24. Yeah, we've admitted up to 24, which is kind of a good maximum number for a master's cohort. Hannah, my guess is we're going to have some folks from, like, there'll be like a little cluster from a YK1 or YK1 and YCS. So it's nice to know. And Sarah Monique is in the Yukon. So it's just, I think it's really important to know that wherever you are, you'll build a nice community online. Coming for the summer is really helpful, right? Because then we're all together building that community, and then it really translates. But we're quite diverse. In fact, right now online, Jeff had the bump office on a ferry, but we already represent 8 school districts just on this call. And then the last call we just had, we have people from Beaufort Delta, Hannah. So like Northwest. So great diversity in the cohort. Thanks, Alyssa. Great to see you. Any other questions, peeps? Yes, Maria can give you a strong reference. Oh my goodness, yes. May we? Wah. It'll be in English, just to be clear.
Yes.
We all know my French. Now, German, on the other hand. I got Hannah's attention with that. What? No, the program's not in German. I just speak some. Any other questions, folks? It's can I just throw out a couple things until people raise their hands and give me a wave? Wherever you're at in your career is great, because you're learning from where you are, right? You're building from where you are and your practice. I could have spent more time at the beginning just talking about practitioner inquiry. We're supporting you to both deepen your practice, but also to grow and extend. So whatever you teach, whatever kind of work that you do, if you're in a leadership role, you're going to do an inquiry project that's going to deepen your practice. And the whole program is designed to give you a grounding in curriculum studies, but also to help you design a research project that you're going to carry out. And so that's pretty specific. It's not like you just do a bunch of courses and get a master's. We're growing you. We're nurturing you in community to understand curriculum pedagogy and different approaches, but also to really try something out in your context. And Hannah, you could probably talk to the peeps at your school, right? And in the district, because the 5 of them in YK1 are doing 5 magnificently different things. Hannah Griffin.
Do we have to have any prior experience or knowledge of the BC curriculum?
You do not. Though, have you heard the word about what's happening in Northwest Territories?
The curriculum renewal situation, yeah.
So I do believe that perhaps Northwest Territories will be using BC curriculum within the next 2 years.
Yeah. It'll be a big switch.
It will. So it couldn't be a better group to kind of join, but you don't have to have a lot of knowledge ahead of time about it.
Okay.
There's also, just fun fact to jump in, the Yukon Nation Education Directorate is in a process of taking over of indigenizing the curriculum completely in the Yukon. And a couple schools are going to be in it starting next year, including the one that I'm at. So that'll be an interesting mix.
Sarah Monique, so cool. And people from Northwest Territories, we have Dene Kade, right? So there's all kinds of like kind of cross Arctic connections. You know, the Arctic is so much further ahead than British Columbia in terms of indigenization is something we believe in BC, but the work that's been done with the nations in the north and the Beaufort Delta, right, have also an additional piece around Inuit. The people are already talking about the food. Our site is right next to the French bakery. So people literally just right, Marie and Kira, people and Sarah Monique, people just go out the back door to next door to the bakery and come back. Please just do lots of walking on your breaks to make that balance happen.
I ate 2 croissants on the walk from the bakery back door to where I had my car parked. Just saying. Yeah.
It's a beautiful, it was already a beautiful space where we're meeting, but we've just expanded and gotten this beautiful big classroom. And so there's a fridge, just so you know, as well, right? So we actually have a fridge and kind of like a little kitchen area for students. And then it'll be us, and there's a new Bachelor of Education program for rural and remote that's starting at the same time. So it'll be us and that group of 20. So we'll kind of be sharing this big space with these two cohorts. And I'll be going back and forth between the two groups because I lead them both. So if you know somebody who doesn't have their teaching degree, who wants to get it? All right, I put my email, I think, in the chat box. Can you see it there, friends?
Yeah, it's a bit, yeah, it's there.
So feel free to follow up if you have specific questions. Linda already had hers up. Linda, do you want to just type your email maybe in the chat box one more time for people? Linda can answer like money questions and what else? Deadline questions. And I'm your academic lead. So if you think I really know the money questions, then you are not correct. That would not be my strength. My strength is like, you know, what do we focus on? What, like Sandra asked, what can I expect? You can expect to be challenged in a really supportive environment. I'm here to stretch you in a really supportive way. And I can say that as a secondary science teacher, I have gone through my own journey of being stretched over the last 30 years. Oh, Sandra too, oh my gosh. Sandra and I are just gonna talk like replacement, double replacement reaction, single replacement reaction. We'll talk about electrons a lot.
Yep, I was helping a elementary school when I have some minutes in my week. I've been helping weed the library there that needs a lot of love. And you would not believe the books that we found today. And a teacher said, well, why? Like, why are you getting rid of these? Like, this is science. And I said, because actually the information that's in here is not correct anymore. So it's not good for the children. And we're not even going to put them on the free cart because we don't want them going home.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, good to see you all. Kira, talk your cousin into joining you. Come on. Bring Allison along. Okay, feel free to reach out. Jamie, keep your eyes out for Jackie Sneezewell in your district. Jackie Sneezewell. Yeah. Great to see you all. Thanks for coming.